When we ask whether reducing dairy farming changes halakhic priorities, we are really entering one of the most meaningful conversations in contemporary Jewish ethics: how a tradition rooted in agriculture adapts to a world where milk no longer needs to come from cows, where technology can generate dairy proteins without livestock, and where animal welfare, sustainability, and economic livelihoods intersect in complex but hopeful ways. This is not a disruption to Halacha. It is an invitation for Halacha to express some of its deepest values more fully. A natural starting point is Tzayar B'Alei Chayim, the prohibition against causing unnecessary suffering to animals. For centuries, halakhic authorities treated this principle with utmost seriousness. Whether it concerned overburdening animals, delaying their feeding, mishandling them during work, or ensuring humane slaughter, Jewish law consistently taught that animals are not mere commodities. They are living beings whose welfare matters in the eyes of Torah. Traditional dairy farming has always been permissible, even necessary, but it also carried halakhic responsibilities: proper shelter, adequate food, cleaning, rest, and humane treatment. The emergence of precision-fermented dairy does not negate the legitimacy of dairy farming. Instead, it creates an unprecedented opportunity to fulfill the value of reducing animal suffering without compromising access to dairy proteins. This is where Halacha shines. It embraces innovation when it helps achieve long-standing ethical commitments. If certain portions of the dairy supply shift toward animal-free production, the halakhic value of minimizing distress gains new expression. The beauty is that this shift need not be confrontational. Jewish law never mandated dairy consumption. Rather, it created rules around how dairy is produced and handled when people choose to consume it. Now, if a portion of dairy-like foods can be produced with no physical animals involved, Halacha can interpret this development as fulfilling a positive ethical trajectory, reducing total animal burden while still meeting dietary needs. Yet Halacha is never one-dimensional. It also carries deep concern for human financial dignity and stability. The dairy sector, particularly in kosher markets, supports farmers, mashgichim, processing facilities, distributors, and countless workers downstream. If dairy farming contracts over time, Jewish ethics cannot simply celebrate reduced animal suffering without asking what becomes of the families and communities whose livelihoods depend on the traditional model. Halacha's sensitivity here is not theoretical. It is part of a broader commitment to tzedek, communal fairness, and preventing economic harm. The potential transition demands compassion for all parties, the farmers as well as the animals. What is especially promising is that this shift does not have to be a trade-off. Precision-fermented dairy can complement rather than erase traditional dairy farming, allowing farmers to diversify operations or pivot gradually toward higher welfare, smaller scale, or niche kosher markets. It may open opportunities for new types of mashgicha, facility supervision, and supply chain oversight, roles in which observant Jews are uniquely positioned to contribute. In some cases, dairy farms could transition into new agricultural roles, such as regenerative grazing or specialty kosher-certified cheese for communities that continue to prefer traditional dairy. With forethought and communal support, technological change can expand rather than contract economic opportunity. Another dimension is environmental stewardship. The Torah's command of Bal Tashet, do not waste or needlessly destroy, extends beyond household habits and touches the broader ecology. Cows require significant land, water, and feed. Reducing the number of cows needed for dairy could lower environmental strain in ways that align with Halacha's broader responsibilities toward creation. Precision fermentation uses smaller footprints, less land, and dramatically fewer resources. This does not turn traditional dairy into something halakhically flawed. Rather, it supports a more balanced system where diverse methods contribute to the community's food needs while honoring our obligation to protect the earth. One might expect that reducing dairy farming would reduce halakhic engagement with animals, but the opposite may occur. Freed from the pressure of large-scale production, Jewish communities could invest more deeply in the welfare of the animals that remain, ensuring higher welfare standards, more conscientious oversight, and more intentional ethical reflection. When dairy becomes less industrial, it can become more dignified. This aligns with halakhic priorities rather than undermining them. At the communal level, the responsibilities are multi-layered. Rabbis and educators can help communities understand that adopting new dairy technologies is not about abandoning tradition but about fulfilling long-standing ethical values with modern tools. Kosher agencies can help ensure that new products meet halakhic standards and communicate clearly with consumers. Communities can choose to support both traditional farmers and innovative producers, seeing both as valuable contributors to the Jewish food landscape. Perhaps the most encouraging aspect is that Halacha has always adapted gracefully to agricultural and technological change. From the shift from shepherding to urban life, from hand milking to mechanized dairies, from animal rennet to microbial rennet, Jewish law consistently navigated transitions with wisdom and balance. Precision fermentation is simply the next chapter, one that allows Halacha to reaffirm its commitment to compassion for animals, fairness for people, and thoughtful stewardship of the world. Reducing reliance on dairy farming does not diminish halakhic priorities. It brings them into deeper harmony. It invites communities to uplift animal welfare without dismissing the dignity of farmers. It encourages new industries, smarter resource use, and a food system built on transparency and responsibility. And it gives Halacha an opportunity to articulate its values in a way that resonates powerfully with a generation striving for both ethical clarity and traditional integrity. In this sense, the evolving dairy landscape is not a challenge to Halacha. It is one of its most promising opportunities for growth, compassion, and positive communal leadership in the modern world.